You know that feeling, right? That obsession over the latest sneaker drop or that magnetic pull to get the new phone, even when yours works perfectly fine. Well, that powerful force is what we call hype. It's this whole culture built around the constant, nonstop search for the next big thing. Today, we're going to get into the psychology behind all of it. Just think about the last time you had to wait for something you really, really wanted. What's the first feeling that washes over you? Yeah, it's frustrating. And then, after a while, that feeling kind of morphs, doesn't it? It becomes a little demoralizing. Until finally, it's just agonizing. You're stuck, you're helpless, you're just watching the clock tick by. And all of those feelings, they really just boil down to one very modern, very powerful emotion: FOMO, the fear of missing out. It's that deep-seated anxiety that an amazing experience is happening somewhere and you're not a part of it. So that's the feeling. But if waiting is so awful, why on earth do we do it? Why do we camp out on a sidewalk for a pair of shoes? Or just sit there endlessly refreshing a web page for a pre-order? That right there, that's the big question we're going to tackle. Okay, so first things first, let's just set the stage a little. Hype culture isn't just about you wanting something. Oh no, it's way bigger than that. It's this massive trend of exaggerated expectation that involves absolutely everyone. Us, the consumers, the companies making the stuff, and the media that just blasts the message everywhere. So, if you want the formal textbook definition, hype culture is basically this widespread attitude of over-the-top, super positive expectations for things that, well, they aren't even out yet. The entire culture is built on anticipation. All right, so let's start with the who. Who are the people driving this whole thing? Well, as it turns out, they're not just individuals. They form these really powerful communities, all brought together by this intense, shared desire for something special. Now, just take a look at this. We've got two groups that seem worlds apart, right? Sneakerheads on one side, driven by things like nostalgia and the desire for exclusivity. Then you have the hashtag book talk community, driven by peer validation and building a shared identity. The products are totally different, shoes versus books, but the deep human motivations, they're practically identical. It's fascinating. Okay, next up, the what. What is it about these specific products that makes them magnets for hype? Because let's be real, it's rarely just about the thing itself. It's all about what owning that thing says about you. You know, this idea actually goes back more than 100 years. It's a theory called conspicuous consumption. And the gist is, we buy stuff not just for what it does, but for the message it sends. We want to be seen, we want to be recognized, we want to signal our status. And hype? Hype taps directly into that desire. Owning the it item is proof that you're in the know. But here's the thing, hype almost never just happens on its own. It is carefully, strategically, and deliberately manufactured. So let's pull back the curtain and take a look at the how. Marketers often follow this predictable roller coaster called the hype cycle. It all kicks off with an innovation trigger, the first teaser or announcement. That builds and builds to the peak of inflated expectations, where the buzz is absolutely deafening. But what goes up must come down, right? This is often followed by the trough of disillusionment, when we realize the product isn't, magic. If it survives that dip, it climbs the slope of enlightenment and eventually finds its real, stable place in the world. So, how do they get us to that peak? Well, they use these powerful psychological shortcuts. A study of hashtag book talk found that its insane success really hinges on these 7 principles of influence. Things like social proof, which is our tendency to follow the crowd, and scarcity, our deep down desire for things that are hard to get. And listen, this isn't just a theory. Get this, a quantitative analysis found that 100%, every single one of the top trending book talk posts used social proof. It just shows how these viral videos are tapping into our fundamental human need to do what others are doing. If everyone's reading that book, it must be good, right? And if you look at the content itself, it reveals another key tactic. The most popular type of post by far is a reader's diary. It's not a sales pitch, it's personal, it's relatable. And that builds trust, which activates another one of those principles, liking. It's simple, really. We are way more likely to be persuaded by people we know and like. And this right here, this brilliantly illustrates the real engine behind so much of hype: scarcity. It doesn't matter if it's a limited edition sneaker with only 500 pairs in the world, or just the feeling that you're going to be left out of the conversation if you don't read that viral book. The principle is exactly the same. If it's less available, our brains think it's more valuable. And now we get to the core of it all, the why. We've talked about the who, the what, and the how, but why does any of this work so well on us? What is actually happening inside our brains when we get swept up in all this hype?
Well, the answer really lies with one key player, a neurotransmitter called dopamine. Now, you've probably heard it called the reward chemical, but honestly, that's not the whole story. It's much more accurate to call it the anticipation chemical.
This is so fascinating. The neuroscientist Robert Sapolsky did this experiment where he measured dopamine in monkeys' brains. And what he found was that the biggest dopamine spike didn't happen when they got the treat. It happened before they got it, during the wait. Our brains, it turns out, get a bigger kick from the wanting than from the having. Hype is basically a dopamine-generating machine for our brains.
And this dopamine rush isn't random. It's directly tied to some of our deepest, most fundamental human needs that marketers have gotten really good at targeting. We are hardwired to seek out new things. We use products to build our identity, so a new phone feels like a new us. And maybe most importantly, hype creates social belonging. It makes us feel like we're part of an exclusive club.
So with all of this powerful psychology working against us, what are we supposed to do? How do we navigate all this noise? The point isn't to just reject everything new, but maybe to become a little more conscious in our choices.
Psychology experts suggest a really simple but incredibly powerful technique. Just pause. Before you click buy, just pause and ask yourself a couple of questions. Am I really getting this because I need it, or am I just chasing that novelty buzz? Would waiting a week or two actually change how much I want this? Just creating that tiny bit of space can be enough to break the spell. So the next time you feel that powerful, irresistible pull of hype, just remember that dopamine spike. And ask yourself this: are you really chasing the thrill of having the thing? Or are you maybe just a little addicted to the thrill of wanting it? The answer might surprise you.